Hello, lovely Rachel. Thank you for
Hello.
being with us today. It's really kind of you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Well, I'm trying to remember when we first met, and I've been doing this with everybody, and it seems that we're all going back years, apart from Sarah, who met last year. But with you, tell me if I'm right that we met at Carlton Towers. We're at we're at Network
Yeah,
36.
I remember.
Um, and had I just done a firewalk the night before and got
You'd done a firewalk and then you came, and it was a breakfast meeting, and I never go to breakfast meetings because they're way too early for me. But I did go to this one, and you were there talking about um, how you help people and coaching, but it was more than that. I just connected with you. I just felt this feeling, and I hadn't ever met you before, but I went up to talk to you afterwards, and I think you can remember that.
I think I remember sitting down next to you. How long ago is this? Is it 10 years?
Mm, yes, it must be. Yeah, no, longer than 10 years. Yes, about 10, 11 years probably.
How time
Yeah.
flown. Well, I've been very blessed to have had you in my life all this time.
Well,
Um,
I feel the same.
Great. Let's quit whilst we're ahead.
Yeah. That's it then.
So, um, now I haven't got set questions. I've got questions that I can draw on, but what I'm interested to know from you work in marketing and communications.
Yeah.
You specialize in it. You have your wonderful company and team in the centre of York. You've got your clients in Yorkshire. How has this coronavirus and lockdown, it's almost like there's two separate things running, isn't there? There's the actual virus, but then there's also that we're handling the lockdown. How's it affected? Well, a few things. One is your where you're doing business and your sanity. Being a businesswoman in the centre of York.
Well, first of all, we started working from home 2 weeks ago, and we're actually only in the second week of lockdown. So we're kind of 1 week ahead. So we've been working at home. This is our third week of working from home. And it feels like forever ago that we made that decision. Being a communications company that sort of specializes in digital stuff more and more these days, we are quite digital. So the transition to work from home was quite easy in a
Mm.
way. Everybody was able to pick up their laptop and move to their home office. Um, However, when we did that, we didn't think that it was going to be for quite so long. You kind of think, oh, we'll manage for a week or two, let's go and do it. And actually, it's really interesting because now it feels like it's normal. And we've kind of found a new way of working between me and my team. I've got five of us, four people work with me. They're all lovely ladies, and yeah, we've had to find new ways of working. We've all been through an emotional roller coaster, and we've all needed each other for support. So that's been a sort of lovely thing. What we how we've got round the sort of feeling needing to feel in a team is we scheduled in a morning check-in and an afternoon check-in. So we probably connect more. I feel more connected to my team.
Mm.
Um, and but the thing is, staring at the five little faces on Zoom is very intense. And we've also realised that we need to have a bit of space to be able to think, because the first couple of weeks were chaos. We're trying to help all our clients, and nobody knew what was happening, and everything kept changing. So what we did was we just kind of got through that, and actually now here we are, sort of in our week 3, which is everybody else's week 2, and we are starting to take a bit more stock and starting to think and starting to work out how we can use this time.
Mm.
So in a way, I see it as a bit of a gift, which may sound a strange thing, but that's the mindset that I'm trying to create with myself and my team. And I think one of the biggest challenges is mindset in all of this, because the fear does take over. And I have had moments of complete panic, moments of complete, oh my God, my business, which I've been building up for the last 20 years, is that going to all go? And then I think, no, just calm,
Thank
reduce
you
that
for
stress.
sharing that, Rachel, because I'm sure there are a lot of business owners out there thinking um, vulnerable for admitting that to themselves or to somebody else, but it's actually reassuring to hear that I don't believe there's a single person that hasn't thought, oh, am I going to lose everything? But it's a
Yeah.
different thing voicing it out loud. And I think you sharing that then there'll be lots of people watching this go, oh, thank God it's not just me, that everybody's been thinking the same. Because I think the truth matters, that people share the truth from their heart matters, because that's what we associate with. So carry on. So you went from thinking, am I, to then thinking, what?
Well, there's also a bit of a herd mentality as well, I think. So the herd mentality is sort of, oh my God, everyone's furloughing stuff, everybody's axing everything, chopping everything, and I totally understand that some businesses have no choice. But for my business, we're sort of in between, because some of our clients are really busy and some of our clients are not. But I feel like we could furlough everyone and take that step, but that really would be following the crowd. So I've come to the decision that as long as we can keep going, this is an opportunity for us to sow some seeds like a farmer would sow his plants in spring, and we will reap the benefits later on. So that's kind of my thinking, and I'm trying to now build a strategy that is right for this time, which I think, everyone will be trying to do. And I think to do that, you do need a bit of time to think as well and take a pause, which is actually, we have got that opportunity at the moment. So I'm trying to make the most of the opportunity and see it as a positive rather than see it as a lockdown negative. I also think the word lockdown is quite interesting, because it could just be a moment to reflect, couldn't it, rather than lockdown, which
Yeah,
doesn't sound as positive.
yeah, it is. In fact, you being in communications, do you think, now that you've raised it, and I hadn't really thought about it, do you think the word lockdown is deliberately used by the government, or do you think it was just
I
kind of
think it gets a message
accidental?
across about being locked down, and I think it's just the way it's evolved. Because Italy was locked down, wasn't it? And then it's people understand what that means, and we are locked down. But you could feel trapped by that kind of terminology, or you could see it as an opportunity to use the time to go inwards, or go inwards yourself, or inwards in your business, or in your family.
Oh, love it. Just on the subject of going inwards on yourself, I certainly know from my coaching clients that often going inwards has become so unfamiliar for people, because we're so externally stimulated, aren't we, with what's happening on social media, all of our devices, where we think we're connected, and yet we couldn't be less connected to people. So the going inwards has increasingly become a very uncomfortable space for people to be in. And I think I've probably seen some people still being busy, busy, busy out there whilst we're given this opportunity to go inwards. How are you finding people around, including yourself, going around and taking the time to go inwards? Are they finding it difficult or easy or uncomfortable, or kind of, I don't know what it means, that they might need some guidance on it?
I think it varies according to where the person is on their kind of personal growth, but I think, or where they are in their life. I see both ends of the spectrum, and I think it's still quite early days actually. But
Mm.
I think the thing about going inwards and being okay with being in your own space is that all your demons come up, all your insecurities and vulnerabilities absolutely hit you in the face, all your fears. So the whole fear, and there's a whole load of fear around at the moment about, illness and health, people being ill. Will my family be okay? So it's quite legitimate that everyone has these fears, and I too have had those feelings of complete panic and fear. I just think if you can manage your mindset and manage the thoughts in your mind by switching off your social media, not watching television so much, choosing the people who you're going to let into your space, that is one thing that I've learned, because I've done a lot of Zoom calls in the last couple of weeks, and I've learned that, you know, even Zoom calls can energetically affect you. So be wise about who you spend your time with, whether it be on a Zoom call. Don't just fill your day with people, fill your day with the right things, and take the opportunity to go for a dog walk or do your yoga, stretch, or go for a run or whatever it is. And I've been doing all of those things to take time out for your head to have a little reboot, because that's the only problem about this, is that we can all look at our phones and our screens and get sucked into a negative train of thought if we're not careful. It's hard to manage sometimes, but I think you need to be aware of what you're letting in.
Yeah, and you know, we kind of think about what we're letting in terms of nutrition, don't we? Nutrition for
Yeah.
the body. What's the nutrition for the mind? I love that. Do you have a particular regime that, or a model of thinking that supports you in being discerning in that way?
So, as you know, Lisa, I've done a lot of work on myself over the last 10 years, probably longer, but we're all working on ourselves. So, but what my kind of regime is now is, so in the morning, always do a meditation, and I use the Calm app, and it's just 10 minutes. That sets
You use what, the Calm mat
Calm app.
or the Calm app? I'm really glad I clarified that, because I visualise you sitting on a mat from the car.
No, I use the Calm app, and I
Love
do
that,
it.
isn't it?
Actually, I do it lying in my bed, but it sets my tone for the day.
Brilliant.
And I found that really helpful. I don't know.
That's really good what you just said, because I think a lot of people associate meditation with, you know, sitting in an uncomfortable way, trying to cross the legs, you know, in the technical style of meditation. And I'm guessing that you do it the moment you wake, but before you've properly woken.
I do it before I get out of bed, and it's, yeah. And I also do meditate, doing not the sitting cross-leg thing, but sitting on a chair like I am now. Um, the hardest thing when you're triggered by all this anxiety is to actually think, I need to take time out and take space. So you never remember at the time when you most need it. But the good thing about doing it every day is that you do ground yourself, and sometimes when you are in a panic, you do remind yourself, oh, I can just do a little meditation, I'll feel calmer then. So I do sometimes remember.
Mm.
But also I do, so you asked about my kind of regime. So my regime is gratitude. So I write a little note on my phone about what I'm grateful for. And I do my meditation, and I go for a dog walk. So I get outside before I start my day. I get outside and I get fresh air. And actually, if I'm feeling a bit low, sometimes that really shifts my mindset more than anything. Just to be outside in nature with my dog. And my dog Poppy is very joyous, so she
He is a
usually makes me smile.
bundle.
Yeah, she makes me smile. So yeah, and it's just, I think the thing about the lockdown is that you can feel locked inside your head if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's really interesting that the government has sort of stipulated that we all need to take an hour's exercise a day. And actually, I've seen more people going out for walks and runs than ever, which I think is brilliant. I think this is hilarious. It's sort of like Boris has told everyone, you've got to stay in apart from that 1 hour you're allowed to go out, and then everybody's out doing their thing, just because otherwise they wouldn't get to go out any other time. So I'm sure more people are doing exercise than they were before.
And sorry, we're still on your regime. I had my next
Yeah.
question lined up, like girlfriends would have. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, regime, that is my regime really. And then do my work, which can get too busy. And that's the danger, because you get sucked into not being able to think, which I think is dangerous at the moment. If you just ride the wave and you're not actually stopping to think about what you should be doing, what's the best thing? And then, yeah, in the evening, I try and go for a run or do some yoga, which
Mm.
definitely a dog walk as well. Get outside if I can, if it's not too windy or rainy or anything. But we were very lucky with such nice weather last week.
Yeah.
Um,
It snowed in York though, didn't it? On
Snowed
Saturday.
in the week at the weekend. Yeah, that was a bit chilly.
And so, if the isolation part of all of this was for our greatest good, what are you benefiting by it and from it?
Well, I mean, whilst financially not benefiting at all,
Mm,
um,
mm,
which I think is probably the same for a lot of business owners,
yeah.
it is a chance to slow down and to catch up with yourself and with your business and your plans for the future.
Mm,
Um, for myself, I think I've got a lovely house and garden, so it's time for me to spend some time doing that. And I always have always wanted to spend more time doing that. I always wish I had more time to do that. So I think be careful what you wish for. That's what I'm doing.
yeah.
Um, but yes, so the benefit is being able to kind of regroup. We
Mm,
wanted to do this anyway as a business because the world is constantly changing. And I think the thing about this is that suddenly everyone's having to use a digital technology, which means people's way of communicating, which is what I do, is going to change totally. So after this, it won't ever be the same again. So this time gives us the opportunity to learn new things. Some of my team are doing online courses, um, which is great because there's loads of free courses around at the moment. So they're, brushing up their skills on things, but also it's time for personal development. So we're doing some of that, sales training, that kind of thing, that preparing ourselves for the when it all changes, and we won't ever be the same again. We do all miss our office, we miss each other, we miss our little team, but we do still have that virtually. But it is interesting how actually seeing each other on a screen isn't quite the same as being together, and
mm.
so we're adapting to new ways of working. But I think, yeah, it's the time to plan really and think, which is an important part of business, not to just react.
Well,
And
I liked what you said earlier. There's a temptation for people to feel compelled to be typing and working.
mm,
Um, but in what you do, the creativity and the space for that can't be forced out of someone's head, can it? And you were saying earlier about it's as much working as it, going for a walk and thinking, coming up with solutions and ideas. That's as valuable as sitting and working, and not to think that your team are forced to be sat at the computer.
no, I mean, that's one thing we've learned, that while you're always sitting at the computer, maybe in the office, you get to have a little chat, and you go to the kitchen and make a cup of tea, you see other people, you go out for a walk in between and do stuff. But when you're sat in front of your computer, just in your house, it's very tunnel vision. And so, I actually said to the team this morning, look, we need to find a way of allowing ourselves to go and have those little breaks and thinking time. That I don't expect you to be sat at your computer just so you feel like you're working, because you won't get your best ideas. And so because last week and the week before was such chaos, it you just didn't feel like you had the space to do that. But
Mm.
we do now have the space to do that. So but whilst we have got work to do as well, which is great, we've got time to regroup and plan and do things for ourselves, for the business. And so, yeah, the best ideas will come from not looking at your computer all the time. And I loved you did a little video about the
Oh,
whole I should be doing, which actually really resonated me, because I just thought, God, I should be on videos, I should be out there, I should be doing all my LinkedIn and all the rest of it. But as soon as you have the should, it puts a creative barrier, which is what you said. And I just thought, yeah, totally, I should be busy.
yeah, yeah.
But actually, what if you just take the time to go inwards and think what will come out the other end will probably be 10 times better than if you just have a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, I do think the last couple of weeks has been very much about people managing their cash flow and all that kind of thing. So I do understand the panic. I've equally had that feeling. But yeah, hopefully we're going through that more now and people are finding a way of surviving or locking down their business.
So on a kind of philosophical level, and it can include business or your personal life or wherever, what's been your greatest life lesson? And when I ask you, what would I think if somebody asked me that? What's been your greatest life lesson?
I think actually it's very interesting you say that, because when I was young, my mum died, and I think you know that. And so that always left me with a feeling of never wanting to be on my own because of the abandonment that you get from somebody losing someone when you're young. And so probably that is my biggest lesson, because I've spent a lot of my life not wanting to be on my own. It's quite funny actually, because here we are in isolation and I'm actually not on my own, but we are alone it's at times during this isolation, and it's actually a massive lesson to learn how to be okay on your own. So I think it's very poignant that's
goosebumps, Rachel.
I know it's being okay with yourself is a hard lesson to learn, and there's bits of yourself you don't like, aren't there? So that's the thing, isn't it? Having to be okay with all of the noise not reducing. I think that's the challenge. So I'd say that's one of my biggest lessons. I don't always find it comfortable, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, that's what we're all working on, I think. Not wanting external validation.
I love that. I love it. Well, when I asked the question, I thought, oh, Lisa, what would your answer be if somebody had asked you that without any preparation? And I love that your answer came straight up, and actually how life has given you the mirror of how okay you are with it. Because you look completely in your power. When I say that, I don't mean as in you're ruling the world. I mean as in your confidence, your self-belief, your self-acceptance even. I think when you just said that lovely thing of all of us have parts of ourselves that we don't like, and it is true. And perhaps if somebody says, oh no, I like all of myself, then that's great if it is true. And what if it wasn't true? Would there be a part that would need some nurturing or some healing? And but I think the accepting all of ourselves and for our imperfections rather than our illusion of perfection is probably what life's about, really, isn't it?
That's what this is all about, isn't it? And actually the things that come up that you don't like because there's a lot of stress, isn't there, with all of this? And I've had stress with my partner and my son, with other people and the team and work, and that's all that stress is magnified. All our little vulnerabilities and insecurities come up in times like this, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing I need to work on myself. And you can see also what the other people are going through, and you think, yeah, but actually that's happening to me as well. So it's that, I think, that maybe that's what we have the chance to do, to sort of heal ourselves, soothe ourselves. If we can learn how to do that, we won't be looking for all of this external validation and running all the time, because the world was turning so fast. I find it absolutely a miracle that this has happened. Unbelievable that you could shut down the world like this and make us all stop. It's unbelievable, really, when you think about it.
It is. And I guess the two most common fears are, I don't want to get the virus, and the second fear is, can I keep a roof over my head? I think those are the two most common fears. And when we think, okay, well, we couldn't be doing more not to get the virus, so I can relax that fear. I can let that have a little rest. Put it back in its cage. I'll wake it up if I want to feel the discomfort of it again. And then can I keep a roof over my head? So what are the government doing? What have I got in the bank? What are the banks doing for us? Right? If I can keep a roof over my head, then that fear can rest as well. So
Yeah.
now I'm just free to do all that good stuff that you've just said. I'm free to do that kind of soothing, which I love that word that you use, to soothe ourselves, because we've disrupted ourselves so much, haven't we, with keeping up with the pace of life,
Yeah.
trying to create it in whatever version we can for our business, our love lives, our friendships, our betterments of ourselves. And in it, we've left ourselves behind somewhere. And when I say that, I think I mean, if we were to refer to me rather than me project onto anybody else, what does Lisa really want? We were saying earlier, weren't we, about it being an opportunity just to check in and ask that really big and brave question. Do I want the future I'm aligned with?
Yeah.
I trained 15 years ago to be a coach and a trainer and a speaker. Well, I didn't train to be a speaker. That's a hard thing. And to be do I still want that? Can I, dare I ask myself that question? And the bigger question is, what do I really want for my future? What do I really, really want? And is it this? Rather than, do I still want this, I guess? Because if we say, do I still want this, it's going to be, well, yeah, you've got nothing else to think about. So, when the option of nothing, then we'll stick with this. And I hope the answer is yes, I do still want it, but I want to dare to ask myself it.
Yeah, I have asked myself that question as well, and I think the work that I do is in communications, helping people to get their messages out to attract business, but also not just to attract business, but also sometimes we help charities and other people who need to get their messages out to help the planet or to help other people. And actually, one thing I've kind of even thought in the last few days is, yes, I do want to do this, but I want to do it for organizations and people where it's going to make a real difference to them and to the things I believe in. I don't want to just do it for the sake of it. I actually think that business will change, and that I won't be alone in that, I'm sure. That I think people will stop and think, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. What I believe in is another thing. And I hope with all my heart that people look more carefully at where their food comes from, the planet's resources, how they're treating other people, how they're treating the planet. Because if out of all of this, if we can just be a little bit more thoughtful and compassionate and help each other and the planet to live a more sustainable life, then we will be better as a race. Otherwise, what direction we were heading in was not great at all. So I just hope that out of this, we'll have a shared vision that is better for the planet and for everybody on the planet. And that's what I believe, where I think my heart is, where I can do the most good. So that's what I think I might do.
Wow. One of the things I know about you is your commitment to physical fitness and challenging yourself.
Oh, yes.
So I've known you've done all sorts of things. What are some of the things that you've done? I know you've done the Yorkshire Three Peaks.
Oh, yeah, I've done that a few times. I've done 2 50-mile marathons when I was young. That's when I started all my ridiculous endurance events, which that was before they were even invented, really. That was a school thing.
1930.
19 whatever. Yes, it was definitely the 19 somethings. and I've done long cycle rides. So I've done the coast to coast cycle ride. Um, I did part of the Land's End to John O'Groats with some friends a couple of years ago, which just about really killed me. I didn't do the whole thing because I couldn't keep up with them. They were way too fit and way too strong. But anyway, I did a hard leg in the Lake District with them, which was really fun.
I love that phrase, a hard leg.
Hard leg. It was really hard. And I was planning before all this. Actually, I was planning to do to cycle with some friends from for a charity from Rotterdam to Paris. Well, actually, no, Hull to Paris, which sounds better than Rotterdam to Paris. But you go on the ferry from Hull to Rotterdam and then
Oh, that's
cycle from Rotterdam.
reassuring. You don't swim it. That's reassuring.
Reassuring with your bike. So yes, I was planning to do that, which I was finding slightly scary. Because I wasn't too sure if I was going to be fit enough in time. Anyway, that's not going to happen in May now, but I'm going to still do it when it happens, which hopefully I'll have had more time to train.
Are you okay sharing why your physical fitness is a blessing and a gift? Not a gift. Yeah, source of a gift for you. It's not something you can take for granted, is it?
No, I'm totally okay with that. And that's another one of my big lessons. So yeah, I had rheumatoid arthritis when I was 37, which is quite a long time ago now.
Don't talk ridiculous nonsense. 37 only.
Last year. Yeah, it was, which meant I basically couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of a chair. I had a 2-year-old baby and I couldn't lift him up. It was very difficult, and I was very used to being physically fit and athletic. So, I mean, it's hard for anyone, but yeah, that was really difficult, and it took me a while to get over it. But I managed to get over it without using drugs, which I'm thankful for. I actually have been totally cleared of any symptoms, so that's really good.
What did you do? What did you do to get over it, Rachel?
I did a thing called kinesiology, which is like an energetic rebalancing thing, and I also did some homeopathy, and changed my diet. So the kinesiology sort of steered me in the direction of dairy-free and reducing other things, alcohol being one of them. Not that I was an alcoholic actually, but yeah, it doesn't help. Things like that. So more of a healthy balance, the thing that's right for my body rather than what's they wouldn't necessarily be the same thing for everybody that they'd have to do, but it's like your body needs certain things. So that's why I think there isn't a prescription for your diet. Each body's different, everybody reacts differently, so it's a thing with your immune system effectively. So how do you repair your gut and your immune system? So I've done a lot of learning about that, and was amazed when actually I ran I forgot about this, the Great North Run, and after I'd had rheumatoid arthritis, which again was a miracle and a blessing. But now I just think, as I get older, I'm just the same amount of decrepit as all the other people that are my age.
Well, yeah, but I just want to ask you about your mindset, because I can imagine that if you're in that much pain, it's not just immobility. Is that the right word?
Yeah, totally immobile. It's immobilizing.
It's the pain. It must be the pain that means you don't want to move as well. So there is an incredible amount of pain that goes with it.
Yeah. You can't sleep because all your body's in pain. You can't lie on your shoulder, your side, because everything's in pain. You get spasms, and it's really horrible.
The physical pain is a very real thing. How did you align your mind with and imagining that you were offered medication? So how did you make the decision to go down the more holistic route and less the medication route? And how did you get your mind on board? Because that takes commitment and determination.
first thing was the medication made me feel terrible. So it wasn't a hard choice in that respect, but it was a hard choice to have the belief that whatever I was doing was going to be the right thing. That,
Yes.
and I think if I look back, I mean, I was scared. I had belief in the people that were helping me, so the kinesiologist and the homeopath. But the doctors were like raising their eyebrows at me. It was a very, very hard time. And actually, it's very interesting that you brought that up, because I didn't know you were going to ask me that. But when you've got rheumatoid arthritis, you're locked in your body. So you're absolutely locked down in your body. It's very interesting. And and I also looked at the whole mind, body, spirit connection. So I also believe that what you think is what you are. So I did a lot of learning. There's a very good book by Louise Hay about you can heal your body, you can heal your mind, and your mind and your body are connected. So I did a lot of learning about that, which I think I really just locked into whatever I could believe, and I believed in it. And unbelievably, or amazingly, I came out the other side of it. And so I do have real belief that what you think is what you are. And that is also probably helping me with my mindset now, because although I have very dark days at that time, very dark days, I think makes me grateful. That situation makes me grateful for being able to move now. And people talk about their best, their personal best or whatever. I'm like, just blooming glad I can get out and run around the block.
Go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Our
Well,
age.
the block was an achievement at one point, and now it still is, and I just think that um, it's a gift to be able to move, isn't it? So it's a gift to be able to go for a walk. It's a gift. So I think I do see it like that. But yeah, the lockdown thing, you're trapped in your body, that feeling of pain when you move. Yeah, you just reminded me. How did I do that? I think I just took one day at a time and believed that it was going to work. And I suppose that's what we've got to do now, isn't it?
Well, and what comes to my heart and mind is you believed like your life depended on it.
Yeah.
And it did. And look what you did. It's almost like you did a deal with yourself, as if to say, look, body, if you start moving pain free for me, I promise I will treasure you. I will use you as you were designed to be used, to be in movement and out in the countryside and grounded in nature. It's a bit like you said, I don't know, I'm very romantic about the deals we set up in our mind, but it's a bit like you're playing out your, because it would be easy. Sorry, I'll finish my sentence. You played out your end of the deal because it would be easy to think, gosh, it's quite nice sitting around. But it's a bit like you got pain free and you thought, right, I'm going to show you before you change your mind, body, that how grateful I am, and I'm going to use you and take you on adventures.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because after all that cycling that I did with the Land's End to John O'Groats people, I was injured and I had I thought, oh, is that a bit of a flare up? And it wasn't. I had a very sore, very clicky knee, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? So anyway, I took my bike to a guy who does bike fits, and he's also a biomechanical specialist. So he's like, you've been riding your bike in the wrong position. Oh, that's why your muscles have tightened up, why
You
your
were
knees.
facing the front, weren't you?
Absolutely. And then so anyway, I've had massage and stretching and everything on my legs, and actually this is another thing that I've learned, because I had last year was a period of injury, so I suppose a bit like I had to stop cycling last year, and like we have to stop doing something to learn something else, so I stopped doing it. Now I do yoga, which I was doing before, but I pretty much do it every day. I do my foam rolling as much as I can, and I don't take for granted the fact that I can run and cycle, and I can run. Like I couldn't even walk properly last year because of my knee injury. So I think there's always something to work on, isn't there? So I had to work on that injury. It's the same kind of thing now, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm guessing the fact that we brought this to the mind that getting through that locked in, locked down, painful situation and choosing a route that was less proven than the medical route, but your gut instinct told you was the right thing to do. Your heart told you this is going to be better for me. I'm going to trust it and I'm going to have to believe in it like my life depends on it. Proves that with that same model of thinking, well, you can do anything, but we know that. I've seen you do extraordinary things.
Well, so have you, actually. Thank you. Yeah, I do believe you can do anything, and it's very interesting what you've brought up. I mean, the whole endurance events, when you're riding a 50-mile marathon or cycling, running a 50-mile marathon or cycle, which is something I did when I was 18. That's mindset, I think, is very good for preparing you for business or for anything really, because it's just one step at a time. One step at a time. And it's blooming painful. And there's times when you just think you can't go on, but you know that you've got to get through that next step or that next minute. And you doing things like that does make you think, I can do this, I can do anything. I mean, you've done the 3 peaks. You know what it's like when you come back down from the top of Ingleborough and your legs feel like they're going to drop off. And, you know, if it's been difficult weather or whatever, or slippery or whatever, you just think, oh God, and it seems to go on forever. I always think the last bit of anything is always really hard as well. I always think if it's an interval in the gym, or if it's the 3 peaks, it's always the last 8th that's always the hard bit, and you just got to kind of go, I can do this, I can do this. So we'll all have times when we feel like that, I'm sure. And
Yeah, I wonder if that's because the mind can see the finish line and then almost in itself thinks that it doesn't need to keep the model of thinking of stay present, stay in this moment right now. This is where you strengthen right now. Thinking about over there is of no use to you because you're here now and you're moving over there. But yeah, I remember once somebody saying
right about that, because when you're in it, you're just in it, and then when you think you're at the end, you just think, oh, everything's hurting, I'm in pain now, and then you lose the set of one step in front of another.
Yeah. So what do you hope that you've started to discover? I mean, I think we've got a bit more time in isolation, so we'll probably more learnings coming to the surface. I don't think we're done with our learnings yet, or our adjustments, or wisdom. But what do you think you will take from what you've learned so far in this isolation adjustment period, and hope to continue when we have all the freedom in the world to do what we like? What's the
I think there's simple things in life. So your family, you know, they're always the most important thing. Your very close friends, the ones that you connect with at this time. I had a friend from university who has been a very good friend for the last 30 something years. I don't think how long. And she rang me up while she was making pizza for her kids on Sunday, and she put me in her bowl of lemons while she was on the phone. And it was just like yesterday at university. And those connections, those friends that are always going to be there, the ones that, even if it's just a little text because they haven't had time to talk to you, whatever, you just know they're there. They're the ones who are saying, you okay? You're saying that to them. So the ones, those people, those people, you nurture those friendships. But also, the simple things in life that make you happy, like baking, walking your dog, gardening, weeding, playing games with your kids, having a laugh, you know, doing silly things, being with people who you love. And also, you know, we are all missing people that we love, because some of us aren't able to be with parents or family or whatever, or friends. But it just make you appreciate them even more, I think. And the fact that there is the fear of losing people as well makes you appreciate them even more. So like all of the older people in our lives who we're really worried about, who are behaving really badly, most of them, and not hooking up on technology, and we're all trying to keep them indoors. But yeah, you realise how important they are in your life and how life is so fragile.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like there is a real adjustment of getting back to what really matters, and it's not so much about the noise of um, busyness.
Mm.
Well, darling, if there was, just on a final note, if there was um, a bit of wisdom
Hmm.
that would just support or inspire people in their day-to-day life, what would it be that you have?
Well, what came to mind for me was I put on LinkedIn last week a quote. It's a Buddhist quote about the storm, and it's if we sit with the storm will pass. This storm will pass. And
Mm.
I do believe that we all have setbacks in our life, which I've had several. I'm sure I'm not alone in that, but there's always something to learn from that, and that we will come out of this, and we will come out of it stronger. So the storm will pass.
Mm.
Just be in the storm, weather the storm,
Mm.
find a way through the storm, and then out of that will come new beginnings and new things. I really believe that, and we will learn individually and collectively, I think.
I agree, lovely. Yeah, even just saying the storm will pass, it creates that sense of calm and ease. Well, darling, I mean, we know we could chat forever, and it would get deeper and more and meatier. Maybe we will. But thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I know you really well, and I know you've not held anything back, you've not been filtered or guarded, and sharing some really reassuring and poignant messages. I always watch back before I upload, and I shall absolutely love watching this back.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. I
I,
had no idea what I was going to talk about, and it's been a really fantastic experience for me. A, because I don't really like the idea of being on a video, but I need to get over myself, and I know I will. And also, the things we've talked about are the things that I think going forward are going to be what I need to do. So it's been a great coaching session. Thanks, Lisa.
oh, it's been my pleasure. I've loved it. Thank you so much, darling. And I'll see you soon. Lots of love.